Hello, everybody. Sorry for the bit of a delay. I don't even have my lighting set up. Hi. Sorry for the bit of the delay, but I am back and ready to continue the adventure. We're close to ready. So what happened was I took some medication that has a drowsiness side effect. Because I was going to eat something I knew I was probably slightly allergic to, but and I think you're only supposed to take 2 pills, and I took 3 just to make sure, and then I needed to lie down for a bit, but um, and I am loading stuff. Oh, that was a uh first document first. There you go. The cursed document I'm looking for. Uh, oh, okay. So I did write down where I was at. So, eh, stop it. So, just as a reminder of the notes, here are my notes. So, the personal is political, the political is personal. The first quote I have. Accusing most feminists as being socialists who are indoctrinating people through university, basically an anti-Semitic framework. That was what was based on what was mentioned early on. Has a problem with feminists being classified as a general type. Frames deeper friendships as having a purpose to influence power structures. Hetero reality, the world that women only exist in relation to men, has constantly perceived women together as women alone. Basically, toxic masculinity. Originally seemed to describe internalized sexism. This Roman seems to use it to create a hierarchical system of women. And the quote being, again, I use Mary Daly's advice of capitalizing self to distinguish between man-made feminine self, the imposed internalized false self of women, and the authentic self which women are recreating. So, I understand the framework of what the author was trying to say, but what she's trying to say seems to put it in a context in which these are the women who are really true to themselves, and the other women are clearly just patriarchal shills. Primary attraction of women for women. This attraction is neither natural nor ontological. She's saying that it's essentially uh, um, I mean, this fits in with the later thing. She mentions later that she thinks lesbianism or being a lesbian is a choice. Vital self is true self. Vital women, women who are true to themselves. Yeah, I was trying to figure out. She didn't explain definitions well. Oh, here we go. Only the woman who is self-created can be an original woman, not fabricated by man, and a friend to other women. I'm not sure how you move yourself from men, because men can't completely remove themselves from women, women from men in society, and there's a lot more variations when it comes to gender than even just that. So, uh, kind of affection defined as woman to woman attraction, influence and movement. Hetero relation, basically this great shit. Anyways, kind of affection is synonym for female friendship. Yeah. Yeah. Um, in any sense, the word friendship, however, male sense of the if yeah, it seems vilifying any man affection for other men. Yeah, blatantly against gay men, implying they're pedophiles by nature. Uh, an affection is not only a loving relationship with two or more women, but also a freely chosen bond, which, when chosen, involves certain reciprocal assurances based on honor, loyalty, and affection. Which I point out that's a red flag in relationships. Like any sort of relationship, the demanding a return on your social investment, a very transactional friendship setup. That's very bad. And it's not that you shouldn't kind to each other or whatnot. It's just you do what you can with what you have. And if you make it transactional, then put people in positions where they can't provide what they have. Uses androgyny weirdly as a unification of male and female from separation. Yeah, they're used to the term androgynous. Bunch of quote is suggesting equality is inherently bad and women should focus on self-reflections. Oh yeah. Rather than affected theories and realities of feminism by defining feminism as the equality of women with men rather than the autonomy, independence, and self infinity for self type things. Feminism to me has never meant the equality of women with men. Miss Raymond has a strong attitude of dichotomy. Women cannot truly have power unless that power is given by other women. Uh, Miss Raymond doesn't seem to understand how women are close friends without banging. Contrary to law, this the lesbians have a choice. Quote. Apparently, Miss Raymond's just well-written women in stories are inherently, in a sense, lesbians due to no reason given. Lesbian existence, women-centered life regardless of romance or sex. Okay, that's her attitude so far. So I was on page 21. The title of this book, which is A Passion for Friends. Uh, the subject matter of this book: female friendship, and dictionary misuse, and creating a series of illogical definitions of things that, when scrutinized, do not. Anyways, is considered from a particular vantage point of philosophy. As a philosophy of female affection, of gynaffection, this work has several purposes. So, I feel like a lot of what she went against before was stuff made by men, or thinking like men or whatever, but philosophy is something which both men and which men, women, and non-binary people have added to. Initially, this is a philosophical work in the more familiar sense of philosophy. It's concerned with ideas about women's friendships. It's also concerned with critical discussion and speculation, two honorable philosophical methods. There's a long tradition in classical male philosophy from Plato through Emerson. I can't remember if Plato existed, or it was just referenced. Or am I thinking of a different philosopher? Philosophy's weird. I think there's a philosopher that's referenced that was like potentially thought to be the creation of a philosopher as a counterpoint. Philosophical ideas on friendship. Of course, the esteemed philosophers were almost exclusively concerned with friendships between men. Most of them felt that friendships between women are non-existent. I don't know enough philosophical history to make declarations like that. And I don't know if this author does either. The ex-stud, but whew. This book attempts to distill some of these ideas that women have had about female friendship while also constructing new ideas. These ideas have been scattered both in both the work and the lives of many different women throughout the age. And because they've been so scattered and have gone unrecognized and unacknowledged as ideas, they never had the legitimacy as being accepted as a philosophical tradition. Nor have they been credited with communicating a philosophical depth of thinking. I mean, part of the thing is I live in the modern times, so people's attitudes are significantly different. I mean, there might have been some of that. Sure. If you're surrounded by enough conservative people, you can get that impression. Here I refer to ideas of female friendship contained in the poetry of Sappho. Sappho was gay as fuck, so I don't think Sappho. I don't know how much Sappho was talking about friendship with stuff, but sure. As well as those expressed in the letters and lives of women known and unknown who wrote about it. Ooh. I might have to make this a shorter stream just due to the medication I took. Or about a friendship whose work and existence has never been praised for. Oh yeah. My work is concerned with recognizing lived ideas, but also concerned with generating more ideas about female friendship. Much philosophy has been devoted to analyzing the ideas of others. It is my hope to do philosophy. I mean, it's philosophy is a broad topic. You can do philosophy and you can do it poorly. Philosophy, by definition, is the love of wisdom. All of us would choose to be lovers of wisdom if only we knew how. But wisdom is hard to pursue. Good friends are also hard to come by. Yeah, if we can recognize where friendship dwells and how to sustain it, we will have acquired both wisdom and friendship. The history of philosophy is the history of man's reflections about the scheme of things and the relations between things. This has included establishing relations between persons, events, and things, analyzing systematically what has passed for reality, and challenging established values and ideals by generating others. The history of philosophy, in a limited sense, is the history of discernment. Most philosophy has been animated by it, like a corpse puppet. Don't know why I brought up corpse puppets, but anyway. Most philosophy has been animated by the search for meaning, unlike science, which avoids critical judge. What? Unlike science, which avoids critical judgment, philosophy has never been able to escape it. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. I'm sorry. Science is based on the assumption of being able to disprove it. Philosophy, you can say whatever the fuck you want. King Rarely, Sappho is definitely gay. Yeah, like this person, this ex-nun, OG Turf wrote, the Transsexual Empire, creation of the she-male. It, who says lesbianism is being a lesbian is a choice. It's just, and also like, what do you mean science avoids critical judgment? Science is so fundamentally set up to be like, hey, this is what, to the best of our understanding, is how the world is. But that can change if you prove it. Like, or unless she's saying that there isn't critical judgment of science like there is with philosophy, but that's partially because there's a stronger grounding to science. I mean, science is, at its core, a philosophy. The philosophy of female friendship is an unacknowledged part of the history of philosophy. Actually, that's to some degree true. It seeks to analyze the relation between women and our world. It examines systematically what passes for reality. That is heteroreality. Okay, so heteroreality. Wait, heteroreality. Just just drop like a completely. Oh no, there we go. A worldview that wouldn't always exist in relation to men as conceived with other as women alone. Um, uh, Once again, she uses a lot that is better explained with toxic masculinity. And it challenges hetero values and ideals by generating those of female friendship. The philosophy of female friendship is one part of the history of feminist discernment, animated by women searching for meaning. This is, her language is so fucking flowery. I'm pretty sure what she just said in that entire paragraph was, uh, in this, we're trying to acknowledge women are a part of philosophy or whatever. There's just so much padding. The philosophy of female affection is thus no neutral endeavor. There is no neutral endeavor in the universe. There's no neutral endeavor. The choices you make have a clear impact no matter what you do. My choice to, instead of sleep in, but instead torture myself in this with this book, is not a completely neutral action. Admittedly, I was going to end up reading the rest of this anyway, slowly, bit by bit, but yeah, it. Anyways, is concerned both with generating ideals and values from the real matter of women's lives, is not an objective value free theory. What's an objective value free theory? But rather invested with a certain passion, belief in, and commitment to female friendship. What the fuck is an objective value free theory? It's word salad with edible flowers? Yeah. At the same time, is not separated from the objective material facts of women's affinities for each other. This work seeks to drive no wedge between well-documented and well-researched scholarship about women's friendships and on the one hand, and passionate inquiry on the other hand. They must come together. This book is part of a critical idealist and critical materialist feminist tradition of philosophy. Yeah, this is so. You haven't even defined what you mean by that. What do you mean critical ideal? Like, I mean, it's definitely an obsessive critical idealist, but I'm not sure how much of this is materialist. It seems very much more focused on idealism. Anyways, feminist philosophies, especially with those which assert the history of necessity for, but especially the vitality of women's friendships with each other, seem to bring forth charges of quote unquote romanticizing or essentializing the bonding of women. Women who write about women with passion, belief, or commitment are often subjected to attacks of quote unquote sentimentalizing women and our various activities. Um is this more about that being a lesbian is a choice thing? Is that my intention to essentialize or romanticize or sentimentalize or glorify female friendship? I don't know what your intention is. It is my intention, however, to represent part of the history and vitality of women's friendships and to speculate about the power of friendship in women's lives. Yeah, but portraying the passion for, belief in, and commitment to friendship that many different women have had, and the necessity of continuing passion for, belief in, and commitment to female friendship should not be reduced to romanticizing or essentializing women's. So, like, this is one of those things where someone can say something that is relatively agreeable, but in one sense, but then in the context of what they're using in, become incredibly disagreeable. In 1949, Simone de Beauvoir wrote of woman as quote unquote the other. De Beauvoir's female other was a negative construct slash type that she used to sum up the ways in which woman is fabricated by man as the relative relative to himself as the norm. Metronymous theory, since uh, the second sex, that's a terrible name for a book, has delineated just how destructive these many forms of male constructed otherness have been for women. It's more than that. I mean, there's a lot of, once again, toxic masculinity is a better way of framing this, because it's not a simple thing, and it's not like women don't other themselves in society. I mean, the self hatred for a lot of people is a thing, based on pressure put on people, but much more rarely has female quote unquote otherness been used as a positive construct or typology drawing on qualities that women possess to present the positive dimensions of women's history or culture. What? This is the biggest word salad ever. Okay, so let me start over with this sentence. Much more rarely has female quote unquote otherness been used as a positive construct or typology, drawing on qualities that women have possessed to present the positive dimensions of women's history or culture. So, it sounds like what Simone de Beauvoir did was, use a negative example, to try to show positive results, but, like, yeah, unfortunately, when quote unquote female otherness has been treated as positive, it has sometimes been grounded in female biology by both conservative and radical feminists. I'm just gonna quote this right here, because I feel like, given the other book she wrote, she's probably gonna contradict this. I mean, she might not. She might be, because a lot of the terf rhetoric is based on defining what it means to be a woman based off of the negative experiences that people can have. I know, I lost my page. I lost where I was. Oh, I accidentally scrolled down. This book is grounded in the culture of female friendship. It would be simplifying the complexity of that culture to see female friendship as a result of some essentialist capability of women to bond with each other. Okay, that is part of the framework that she's using. Someone did in 1906. Um, I feel like this will also be contradicted. I quote the potential contradiction, because I just suspect that they're going to be contradicted based on other philosophies this person has had. The culture of female friendship is depicted in this book not as some pure and unalloyed state of bliss uncomplicated by many obstacles. At the same time, however, my work does not attempt to portray female friendships in all of its cultural vitality and empowering dimensions. What are you trying to say here? I swear half of this book is word salad. That was actually the main reason I wanted to do this as a stream and take notes, because dear God, I don't think I can get through this book on my own. The culture of female friendships is not an uninterrupted chronicle of wondrous happenings, nor is it a mournful tale of failure and disruption. It is an ongoing testament and testimony of women as acting subjects who, in relation to their true selves with each other, have created passion, purpose, and politics. This tradition of female friendship and its ongoing life in the present needs to be thought about, lived, and celebrated. I mean, oh, what is that word? Not nicety. Was it meaningless? Meaningless, pleasant, talking point, religion. No, I got nothing. It was a nice little term, but I can't remember it. So, um, thus, basically, she said absolutely nothing in that paragraph, but sounded like she was saying a lot. Thus, as a philosophy of female friendship, this work is a critical yet committed version of Gaian affection. Not only loving relationship between two or more women, it is also a freely chosen bond, which, when chosen, involves certain reciprocal assurances of honor, loyalty, and affection. In many ways, Gaian affection is a synonym for female friendship. Yeah, it's this weird thing defined as woman to woman attraction, influence, and mood. So, those three definitions don't necessarily always mesh. Platitude, maybe. Female friendship is not given a category that resides in some female nature or in some female reality as such. It is formed in the cultural commitments that women have made for themselves and other, or for their weird phrasing. Anyways, I'm just gonna say themselves and each other in the face of repeated assaults of hetero, or being basically not viewed as people, and if there isn't a man around, essentially and by nature for men. Indeed, it is hetero reality, the world view that woman is for man, that has grounded itself in a biologically determined and essentialist of the natures of women and men. Okay, but like, by this framework, because if it's not a cultural sentiment, if you have someone who is assigned male at birth and is raised as a woman and by women as a woman, they should be able to experience this gin affection. And like, I don't think she believes that. Those who would attack philosophies of female friendship as glorifying women's capacities to bond with each other miss the point. They indulge in a reductionism that is often served to attack any radical feminist who celebrates women's affection as vital and empowering. They can passionate inquiry with romantic or sentimental thinking. I mean, there are a lot of circumstances where you not necessarily know how you feel in a given moment, but does not mean that sometimes people just talk about romantic or other stuff, romantic and sentimental stuff. As philosophy, this book is also meant to contribute be a contribution to the growing body of literature known as feminist theory. Okay, but like, didn't you criticize the feminist theory? Where is it? Has a problem with feminism being classified as a general type. So like, she is in this book doing what she said she has a problem with. We're at the point in history of feminist thought where we need a systematic theory of female friendship, but I also call gynaffection and its opposite, hetero relation. Expresses a wide range of effective social and economic relations between men and women. I mean, I don't. Based on the definitions, I don't see them as opposite. Okay, Miss Raymond. In developing a theory of hetero relation, I seek to represent the structure of the world as men have created it for women. In developing a theory of female friendship, I seek to represent the world as women imagine it could be. But I mean, like, if there isn't a biological essentialist point of view, then there isn't an essential version of how women view the world, which means there'd be a lot of variation. And so can't agree with both those points and have a rational philosophical position. Much feminist theory to date has sought to account for women's oppression by analyzing specific systems of oppression. It's important in the investigation to consider the force of hetero relations as an overriding theory of oppression. So, like, wanting equity is not inherently a bad thing. Wanting equity and equality. And oftentimes a lot of modern society involves creating hierarchy, which she is doing. But yeah. Much from there's been a dearth of feminist theory that has moved beyond the theories of women's oppression to theories of women's empowerment. Feminist theory must take into account the forces maintaining the survival of women as well as those forces maintaining the subordination of women. The theory of female friendship is meant to give form and expression to the ways in which women have been for ourselves and each other. I mean, like, people come together. Lots of people. So, feminists have quote unquote fought the good fight against patriarchy, but we may also have let the struggle against women's oppression define too much of our theoretical agenda. We have to think more spaciously about the purpose of feminism and its role in bringing women together. The range of feminist theory expanded beyond women's subordinate relation to men to include women sustaining relations with women. What? So, like, feminism, my knowledge of feminism is that it's not defined by it is about empowering women, but getting rid of oppression is kind of important for empowering people. Important feminist work has been done in the history and theory of women's oppression. You need only to read Andrea Dworkin's Pornography and Possessing Women. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. This ex-nun is against sex work. And while there has been a lot of abuse by men against women, pornography nowadays is women have a lot more control in modern pornography than they did possibly, well, definitely in the 70s. 70s it was awful. And earlier. Anyway, Florence Rush's The Best Kept Secret, The Sexual Abuse of Children. There's a lot of sexual abuse of children, which is not inherently completely gender-based, but okay. I assume she, yeah, based on previous framings, it's concerning. And Kathleen Berry's Female Sexual Slavery, among others, to learn more fully the critical truth and utter brutality of women's oppression. So, yeah, there's truth to oppression that doesn't. The world also changes. And Bell Hooks talks about brings up intersectionality a lot, or at the very least, because she's a black woman, Bell Hooks, and so she talks about how a lot of white feminists have sort of, don't have to deal with the racism aspect, so they have an out sometimes, which Bell Hooks doesn't have. But anyways, Mary Daly has made important connections and has established patterns between atrocities of Chinese foot bonding, African genital mutilation in city, European witch burnings, and American gynecology and psychotherapy. Interesting atrocity. Atrocity assumptions, I assume, ignoring various problems. I assume this author is ignoring the fact that there are a lot of atrocities against people. Just any person out there. There have been genocides against indigenous people. There have been and they didn't care about the gender of the indigenous people when they were genociding them. But yeah, the importance of understanding and acting on the full picture of female oppression is crucial to feminist life. However, my work focuses on the fact that it's ultimately impossible to emerge from the effects of the quote unquote state of atrocity, if not the atrocity itself, without pivotal bonds between. Um, I mean, organizing is important, but I don't think that's what she's talking about. Like, organizing. Intersectionality is vital for organizing. So if she tries to cut it too much into sections, then that creates problems. For some women, it means finding themselves, their original friend. For other women, it includes, in addition, finding the affection, strength, and empowerment of other women. The history of Gaian affection. By the way, I hate the term Gaian affection. Like, what it is so. It is essentially saying that that a lot of this book is based on a framework that men and women are inherently different. But in this book, she also says that essentialism, gender essentialism, should be avoided. But you can't have both. You can't say men and women are essentially a particular way and say you're avoiding essentialism. I mean, you can say it, but you're wrong from a point of view of basic logic. History, affection, kin, authority, and female friendship. Kin authority is a new one. She's just dropping. I don't know what she means by kin authority, and because she's so random with how she defines things, I have no way of knowing for sure. This is the first time she's brought that up in this book. Anyways, and female friendship must be told with the history of women as abused, battered, and killed. Yes, but that isn't the sole definition of what it means to be a woman. But yeah, people should recognize the traumatic bad aspects of the past. But I feel like she'll miss the point. Behind many apparently colonized women have been women of strength and fortitude who encourage themselves and each other. Behind many apparently colonized women. What does that mean? Downplaying colonization? She's making it up as she goes along. Yeah, I get that impression. Lack of kin affection has perpetuated the quote unquote state of atrocity. What? That is what does she even mean by that? For example, the mother who refuses to acknowledge and stop her husband's sexual abuse of her daughter keeps her daughter in the atrocious state. So a lot of, first off, victim blaming. Second, because like most people who are married to an abuser they're generally more often than not scared to stand up to their abusers. The female relative or acquaintance who becomes the instrument of genital mutilation. The constant talk of genital mutilation makes me deeply concerned for when I get to one of this person's other books. Or who binds a young girl's feet or participates in continuing the tradition of female atrocity. Oh, wait. I think from context, because she gave more context than this, so I'm guessing what she's trying to say is the atrocity forced against women. I assume that's what she means by state of atrocity. She's not very clear, but also she is some cultures are atypical, and definitely she's creating a broad framework for some racist stuff. But yeah, the atrocity behind all atrocities is the priming by women through mutilation, abuse, and neglect of woman for man. So, okay, so the atrocities forced against women by women for men. Yeah, not all that stuff's for men, but okay. I mean, some of it is. And probably the examples that she's giving, but yeah, there's a lot of patriarchy and cultures. In addition to the other and this also relates to toxic masculinity. Sure, but that's too simple. Anyways, in addition to the other horrendous effects of the quote unquote state of atrocity, one of its most devastating consequences is to make women not lovable to the themselves and to other women, causing women to identify with other women out of a shared pain and not out of a shared strength. I mean, you can have both. You can have a shared pain and a shared strength. When a woman sees her sister brutalized throughout history. By the way, a lot of people have empathy. They do see. There are men who see women being brutalized throughout history. And women who see that and don't think it's a big deal. Like, women sees a sister brutalized throughout history, throughout her own life, and in almost every culture. A woman sees the endless variations this brutality takes and how few women really survive. Inaffection is erased from memory. What? And women are not affected by other women. The state of atrocity reinforces the absence of women to themselves and each other. That is a leap. That's a far leap. Um, uh, Women can empower each other or bond with each other. That's essentially what she's saying, is when women see bad stuff happening to women and feel bad, women can't empower each other or bond with each other. Likewise, one-dimensional emphasis on the quote-unquote state of atrocity in feminist literature, in feminist organizing, and in women's sharing of experience can inadvertently impress women with the fact, almost like reinforcing a painful ancestral memory, that woman is for man, no matter how she might have to be forced to do his bidding, and that only man can sustain and protect. In this context, I'm deeply concerned that the constant description of female atrocities, which need to be faced and fought, do not lend a prescriptive force to the claimed necessity for men in lives. In history of gynefiction is a vital counterpart to the history of women's oppression. Unless gynefiction becomes an intrinsic part of the feminist political platform, feminism will not fulfill its most basic goals of obliterating mechanics, institutions, and effects of female. What the fuck is she saying? What the fuck is female? What the fuck is female colonization? Dear God. Speak like a human being. Women must not ask not only what we are fighting against, but also what we're fighting for. That's true of everything. You always have to argue what you're fighting for. And if you're just fighting for people to have self-discovery, you're not actually fighting for and you don't fight for the freedom to partake in that self-discovery, you're not fighting for women. Destruction of all systems of female oppression and the development of female friendship go hand in hand. But you just said they were opposites. Right? You're saying bad stuff happening to women and women feeling bad about it. So, oh wait, no, no, she's saying you can't just talk about the bad stuff, you could talk about the good stuff, but like the skin affection as a term is its own nightmare. I think I may need to end early today, partially because I took some basically I took medication to prevent me from having an allergic reaction, to try to prevent me from having an allergic reaction to some stuff I bought. But I probably took too many pills. And now I am very close to conking out again. So I'm going to conk out now and stream on Twitch at 4 p.m. Eastern later. Thank you, Gang Warely, for showing up. Very appreciated. We will be continuing the last two parts of this next week. And the next two parts of the introduction. Because, dear God, is this too long? And too word salady. But, with that, take care of yourselves and have a wonderful day.